This episode of Untold Stories is sponsored by Paraswap. You'll hear more about them later on in this episode. All right, everyone. All right, my friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up? I am your host, Charlie Shrem, and you're listening and watching another epic episode of Untold Stories, where twice a week we get to dive deep with some of Bitcoin and crypto's most influential leaders, Web3's founders, the people that are leading the metaverse, the Moses of the metaverse, the Briannas of blockchain. I got to come up with some better stuff here to really understand how this movement came to be, where we are right now, and where we're going. And today we have another epic episode with two guests today. The crypto markets have been a lot of fun lately. There have been a lot of really cool things being announced, a lot of really cool things being released. It seems like the regulatory world is moving forward in a positive way. If we could just end these damn wars that we have around the world, we can all get back to like building and doing the really fun stuff. Fred, Kenzi, thank you so much for coming on Untold Stories today.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Charlie.
It's really exciting to talk about the Cere Network, DaVinci, what you guys have been doing over the last year, the Decentralized Data Cloud, coming towards mainnet, so close. Just to give a little bit of background, Fred, you're the co-founder and CEO of the Cere Network. Prior to founding Cere, you were involved in Silicon Valley. You founded 50 Cubes, a Tencent-backed gaming company. You were also early at Bebo, helped them lead a huge $800 and something million acquisition by AOL. And Kenzi, you're a Cere Network co-founder. Previously, you were the ex-vice president and general manager at Huobi and a partner at AU21 Capital, a US VC firm. So you guys wear different hats. There are overlapping of hats. There are a lot of different things that you guys work on within Cere. But I mean, instead of me introducing it, I'd love if you guys can introduce it, because it's become such a mega project now that you have so many different facets within.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Charlie. We were talked about a year ago, and I think since then we've been building a lot, right? So I think I would love to just to kind of like kick it off with the kind of the story, the vision that we, what got us here, right? So I think what essentially Cere Network is trying to do to data what Bitcoin did to money, which is truly allow data to be freed from the big walled gardens that we know today, right? The Apples, the Googles, the Facebooks, and other big tech vendors. So that's what started the vision, which is the desire to have this overarching goal. And I think with that, there's couple of specific areas. One that's very, very interesting to us. So it's what NFTs is doing right now today. As we know, it's barely scratching the surface of what's possible if you can actually unlock the data which each NFT issuance or transfer. So I would happy to dive into that a little bit more, but I think these are two areas that we can start with.
Let's go like kind of high level for a second. And the modern internet that we use today, I don't even know if that term modern internet, but what we're using right now, even like we're having this over the air conversation, all the encoding is happening in real time. There's audio, there's video encoding, and then all the audio and video needs to get uploaded somewhere, needs to get edited by multiple editors. Then you have advertisers, and then there's listeners. But there's no relationship between any of all the different parties that I just described. So the best way I can know if the show's good is to get email feedback from my listeners. It sounds like such an arbitrary, like archaic way of doing things. And at the same time, what I just described, almost all blockchains today are pretty much run on these same type of data cloud platforms. Pretty much all are on Snowflake and Amazon Web Services. In fact, no one even realizes that Amazon selling products is a loss leader. They lose money on selling books and products. They make it all back on Amazon Web Services. So it's huge business. The whole internet is run on basically these two companies and a few other ones. And at the same time, there's no relationship there with that data. That data is not tangible. The data is just magically in the ether somewhere in our computer that we can't even visualize what data actually looks like. It's just invisible energy. How does Siri plan to do what Bitcoin did for money to what we're going to do for data?
Yeah, it's a great way of setting up the question, Charlie. I think there's two levels, right? One is that you need to have sort of an open protocol that allows, various, truly decentralizing who's actually hosting that data, right? So this is one aspect of it, or one uh, facet of it, if you look at it. So rather than signing up account with Microsoft and then start storing all your data with Microsoft, and then all of the data, like say whenever you start to play a game or use an app, all of your utility and achievements, or things like, say, if you're playing a game, like your items you accumulate, all that stuff could go away, right, when this game or app decides to shut down, right? So that's kind of the risk that most people kind of don't really think about, where at some point they start to understand. So the best way to do that, if that there's actual data stored at the protocol level that's associated with the individual wallet address, or the user, or NFT, if you will, and that data, it's always guaranteed to be served by the protocol, which is many different people were running the nodes and services are actually participating in this protocol via incentivization, right? So that's the only way to guarantee that either money, in the case of Bitcoin, can last, right, through the test of time, or data can last through the test of time. That's like the most fundamental level at the base layer, right? And then there's the other facet of it, which is from an individual user level, individual consumer level, that data, there's a big movement called data mesh that's actually basically aligned with where we're pushing out, which is everyone's data should be individually segmented and encrypted to you, right, to your wallet. And then you choose to actually use your wallet. Whenever you use an app, you can connect with it. You can allow certain part of that data to be used so that you can receive extra incentives, or extra values. And also whichever app that you're using will know already, like, some of the previous purchases, or some of the things that you like, whether it's entertainment, whether it's e-commerce. This has huge implication on the future as we know it, right? So those are the kind of the two, without diving too deep, that's the two best ways that I couldn't describe it, from two levels.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not too deep, and I know a lot of times people. It's very easy to get excited by DeFi. It's very easy to get excited by NFTs. It's very easy to get excited by Bitcoin. But really, I think it was realized very early on that data is the killer app for this technology, because data is the internet as we know it today. As soon as whatever we're talking about leaves this microphone, it's turned into data, a certain type of data. Everything that we're doing, almost every aspect of the virtual world, or what we call online, is data. And then more frequently, and this is kind of what I'm getting to, things that we're doing in the in the real world, as if you will, is now has data more has excuse me has a lot more implications as it relates to data, because there's a relationship between all the technology that we're using all day and then how that's all done. Like, I'll give you an example. Just the other day, I was thinking about someone that I hadn't spoke to in a long time, and so I researched that person on Facebook, and a few days later he reached out to me. We hadn't spoken to years. Now, I know for a fact that Facebook showed my account to him just because I was researching him, and so it created that connection. That freaked me out. It's like, holy crap. You don't realize how involved data is in our day-to-day lives. We're basically losing free will slowly. Do you kind of see things like that happening? Freaks me out, to be honest.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think there's a lot of pushback, right, about especially with Meta slash Facebook, what they have been doing, which is or, Google and Apple, there's a lot of pushback against privacy, right? There's, especially in Europe, especially in some of the other legislative areas, um, is specifically pertaining to that, which is um, Web 2 as we know it it's about empowering all these different layers of players that actually help you as a business to say, I'm going to help you get more data. Oh, I'm going to help you get more customers. But at the same time, they're actually aggregating a lot of this information all across these sort of a third party large big data repos, and they're monetizing using that data 1,000 different ways, right? And then without you the consumer or you as a business really knowing what's really happening there. And then I think there's a huge movement to move both on the individual level, also at the brand level. Folks are all looking to move, how do we move everything to first party, right? How do we move everything to fully compliant and first party, meaning that the
Uh,
data stays with the user and the data stays with the business without leaking into this outer sphere of big data that's owned by other people.
yeah, so that's what I've been coming to understand lately is that a lot of times it's not the technology around data that's the problem. It's that all data is regulated very differently. So when it comes to like your cookie and your browsing data, to your medical data, your financial mortgage data, it's all regulated differently, has different type of supervision, different type of permissions, and at the same time, that's kind of why a lot of these things it's hard to like create an NFT out of them. For example, like creating an NFT, a non-fungible token out of your mortgage, for example. There's a lot of different players doing a lot of different things in this space. I want to get to like NFTs and JPEGs and art and music and all these different things, but I still want the listeners to like understand and myself really at a high level kind of how this all works. Um, and I just realized another thing is that speaking of like JPEGs and art, I didn't even realize that a lot that most NFTs are not actually stored on even a blockchain. You guys launched a DaVinci platform to solve this. Can you talk a little bit about that? But what do you mean? So like I have my Bored Ape or whatever. It's actually just sitting on Amazon Web Services or something like that. It's not on a Web3 location.
Yeah, so I think NFT is a really, really good segue into this key functionality, right? So, as we know it right now, when you in most NFT marketplaces, when you buy an NFT, you're basically just buying sort of a token that says that certifies that you're the owner of this ape, or you're the owner of this art, but the art doesn't even actually come with it. So what we have built with DaVinci, we realize there are two key things. One is that most of these NFTs have no real impact on your experience as a NFT collector or token holder, right? And then two, which is the asset itself is not being transferred like individually to you, so that only you have access to it from your wallet, right? So that is the two very, very big achievements that we have done with DaVinci. Is one, we're actually using smart contract to deliver an asset directly, encrypted to your wallet address when you acquire an NFT. So this is not only used to can be used to do much more than just transferring a JPEG, transferring image, right? So you can do things like personalized streaming to you. So we're working with partners like, for example, like Live One, in anticipation of being able to launch big private concerts where the NFT holder will have access to certain parts of the performance beyond just the pay-per-view part of it, right? And then this allows the content that's typically commoditized in the music and art world to be made into the form of collectibles and to be securely delivered to that one person, only encrypted to that one person's wallet address. So this is like a big shift, and this is what a lot of folks are looking to do in this whole sphere, right? So that's one good example of how decentralized data is helping with NFTs.
Sorry to interrupt your regularly scheduled programming, but I wanted to tell you guys that if you're using PancakeSwap, Uniswap, DYDX, SushiSwap, you're doing it wrong. You need to be using PowerSwap because PowerSwap is a user interface, a decentralized smart contract platform that sits on top of all of these. And when you go to PowerSwap or untoldstories.link/PowerSwap, because they're refunding your gas, if you go there, then you'll be able to, on top of Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon, look for the best prices for your tokens and swap and do everything in one predefined transaction on chain. Instead of having to do the approval to this token, to that token, to do all these different things, PowerSwap does it all for you. It's decentralized. They just released their API version 5 that you can see everything. It's all open source. Very cool stuff. Untoldstories.link/PowerSwap. If you're using any of the other decentralized protocols, you're doing it wrong because you need to be using the routing, beautiful PowerSwap routing system, and it's fully decentralized too. It's gorgeous. I'll talk to you guys soon. Speaking of Live One, you've created this, in partnership with Polygon Studios, is you've created this whole platform, more, but for the user, right? It's not just for like a business or a person creating content. The relationship right now between NFTs, it's like it's two-sided. It's one-sided. You have like the issuers and creators, and then you have like the minters and the users. Is that going to change? Will NFT users be the minters? Will you be minting something every time you engage with your NFT? What do you think this looks like a few years from now?
There's a very good point. I think there are two key things that I want to double click on. One is that right now, just, NFT is something that you sort of throw into a marketplace or creators, put into the marketplace and hoping that someone, would pay good money for it. And the person who's acquiring it is hoping that this, somewhat of a sort of manufactured, scarcity, or this item will eventually, sort of go up in value. So that's like the main use case of it. So what we're, really looking at is actually there are, two or three really good use cases I can touch on. One is the fact that, the content or streaming rights, the data is delivered only to the person who's buying something. This allows creators, the folks who are artists and musicians who are looking for a more direct way of engaging with their fans and distributing content to only the key fans who self-identify themselves as someone who's been to every one of a concert, someone who's bought every one of an album. That is not possible. And also what's more important, the second aspect of this is getting the data that's, hey, this person actually listened to my song 13 times the first time that they actually receive that content. That is actually possible too with our technology, which is not only the data that's used to stream the encrypted asset would deliver the content, but also I think the future of consumer data, which is how does someone engage while they're actually using this NFT to unlock the content. How are they engaging with the content? That is extremely valuable data that it's, especially right now, it's a critical need for all creators to break away from the controls of the record companies, from the Apples and Spotify's, have a way to directly have a piece of content streamed to their fans, to their collectors. And so this is all super exciting for us. I'm sorry, I'm just, starting to really get into it, right? So just feel free to, stop me on any point.
No, I want to, no, I want to understand, and Kenzi, feel free to jump in as well here, but I want to understand how we change the relationship that people have with data using the Cere network, and how this mainnet, this not just blockchain as a service, but this whole user, minter, creator, engager platform will allow for not only like me as a content creator to engage better with my audience, but then provide the audiences with better discovery. So I turn it around and I look like I'm giving Spotify free day. I work for Spotify every day by listening to music on Spotify. Why? I'm giving them my personal spending and buying habits, but also my listening habits, but I get nothing in return. I get at the end of the year, I get, yo, here's your most listened to playlist. Great. I don't care about that. Help me discover new music. Help me discover better podcasts. Help me get smarter. Help me become a better person. Help me become more humble. Help me, give me self-help podcast. Like that's what the relationship with data should be. It's, and that's what's not happening.
Yeah, I think you touched upon really two great pinpoints. And that's also what Web3 essentially wants to change. It's trending towards that direction. One is the power of a creator economy, where it really establishes a one-to-one relationship between you as a content creator and also your audience, and that bypass the middleman, right? So that's so secondly is the notion of you owning your data and also what you can get out of that as a content creator. So we to take a step back, you brought up a really interesting point previously. That's a lot of the NFTs are currently not hosted on decentralized infrastructure, and that's very true. And that's because we're at the very first inning of NFT. Right now, I think there's three phases. I think we're at the very, very early, the first phase, the year one of NFTs to get to the consumers.
Yeah.
So in fact, you're right. Majority of NFT content are currently hosted on Amazon S3, which if and there's a greater than zero chance that a black swan event can happen, and you can lose your $1 million ape, and that would there's a greater chance than zero chance that's going to happen. And once that happens, it would definitely change the perception of things. And we're here essentially to set up the infrastructure for the future, essentially, and that helps you with one secure your NFT, so it's permanently decentralizedly hosted, and secondly is also that it allows you to have additional functionalities on top of the NFTs that's centrally hosted. A decentralized infrastructure offers a lot more Web3 interoperability, as well as storing the state of the content, which gives you more control over your data. That's all things that we set out to solve, as a data infrastructure provider in the Web3 space in the first place. Um, yeah, so those are some of the thoughts on what you said before.
You come from the VC world as well. Do you like taking this? Do you envision the ability for someone to come onto DaVinci? And I know this is not what you guys built it for, but could a fund with general partners, limited partners, different types of investors, even a film fund where you have artists, uh, investors, actors, down to the director of photography, to the distributors, can they all, be represented as an NFT within a fund itself? So with like a DAO type of thing, could you launch DAOs as a service here?
Yeah, totally.
This is exciting.
Eventually, everything, all the content, should be in the form of NFTs. What NFTs really provides is, it's the prominence of NFT, and also the how it provides a better tracking of sort of the data around it. Those are all it should be available to content creators, like you said, all of the players that you mentioned just now, the producers, the fund managers, whatnot, they are all essentially content producers. And we built infrastructure for you to host your NFT content in a decentralized infrastructure, and that's all very possible. On top of that layer is the app layer, and you're asking whether apps can be built on top of our infrastructure, and that's essentially the vision here, and that's what we're building an ecosystem around, the Cere, data infrastructure here to enable all of those behaviors that you just outlined.
You just said something that I want to really push into, and this is where NFTs, I think, and this is where I was trying to get to. You said apps. The NFT, my friend Vinny Lingham really was very brilliant when he told me a few years ago. He said, everyone has NFTs all wrong. He said, the move right now, yes, he said it on this show. He said, the move right now is to get your NFT in the hands of as many people as possible. All the other utility of it, the why, the what, that will be figured out later. The relationship, that's still being built. But it's an arms race he used. I don't like that term, but it's an arms race. Get it in the hands of as many people as possible. So like, let's move forward for that. So you got this show, right? Untold Stories. And I want to issue an NFT to every single one of my listeners. Now, I'm not doing it for a financial gain. I don't want to attach value to it. I think a lot of people will get one for free because they'd want to be able to have like a collectible or memorabilia or have a direct relationship with me. But now that there's like a relationship between me and my listener because they're now an NFT holder, what type of apps can I build? What type of like better complementary add-on services can I provide to my listener now that they're holding my NFT? And that's where the money is. Like, that's what I want to do.
Exactly. So this is what DaVinci can do a lot of things for you out of the box already, Charlie. So if you're actually working with us, we can help you to not only issue these NFTs, distribute them, or even market them and sell them, but also we can distribute special content. That's one. So like, say, for example, you're doing a special workshop. You're saying, hey, these are only for people collecting my NFTs. I have my regular, podcast sessions, but I have some special things that actually, that I think is really extremely valuable for certain people that this, think that this will help them, right? So for the members of these NFT holders, we could actually help you distribute content directly to their wallet. So the magic here with DaVinci is what happens is the moment they're actually buying the NFT. So right now, say on Polygon or Ethereum, there's a smart contract that actually, bridge over to Siri mainnet and deliver and re-encrypt the content to the purchasers.
Oh, very cool.
So that asset is always, that content is always, secure for the owner of the NFT. And also at the same time, they can unlock that content with the wallet and stream it anyway, and use that content, right? So this is kind of like the first thing that I think, especially for folks like you, for the creators, it makes a big difference. And secondly, I think there's DaVinci is just one of the apps, like Kenzi was saying. Many folks are looking to, we built DaVinci specifically to be, white labeled, right? So that someone else can use this technology, the similar application stack, to launch their own version of it, right? So there are many brands, many potential partners that we're talking to, like the Life Ones and et cetera, that we're doing that with. And because all of the technology that's underneath it are all the tooling and all of the SDKs and all of the, sort of a blockchain as service, all of that stuff, it's built specifically to power, these type of apps, right? And then at the lowest level is the decentralized protocol, the Cere Network. That's the backbone of all these, possibilities.
You, speaking of which, and I was just looking for the information, but as an advisor of you guys, this was so cool to see. But there was a boxing match that I saw. There was an NFT relationship that you guys sponsored. What was going on there?
Yeah, so I think this is something that I think for all sports, for all spectator sports and sporting events, most NFTs, they don't really have sort of an additional value to the fan engagement, right? So what we decided to do is sort of mint these NFTs for Cal Brooks that actually have a potential impact on the fan experience. So the idea is that instead of your regular NFTs, we actually minted these NFTs that have these kind of a metadata that's attached to it that says, hey, this NFT not only has, you know, some content behind it, but also whoever holds this NFT, you know, will get something if the Kell Brooks, like say, knock out his opponent in round six, right?
Oh,
Which is actually what happened. So with Kell Brooks, where, you know, they're actually using this as a way to sort of like, you know, do a very personal meet and greet, you know, at their local gym, right, to the holders of these, you know, these NFTs. So there's so much more that, you know, I think that we haven't even tapped into in the world of NFTs, right? So we're just at the very, very beginning. Like some of these use cases are just scratching the surface, right? So when you get to the fact that when you get to the part when an artist like you say, hey, I've issued these number of NFTs, I want to see all the fans who actually collected these NFTs and I've used them in a certain way. And then I can do many, many things for a fan. What people don't understand is that each NFT is actually relationship mapping between the creator and the fan, right? And the between the artist and the collector. And what's missing is both the asset transfer, but and also the information and behavior insight, right? That every artist craves to say, hey, I want to see all the people who are, you know, listen my my songs like 100 times, right? I want to see, I want to be able to contact people who have been to every one of my, you know, my concerts, right? So now NFT can do that.
and that's like a crazy world to think about. Imagine every relationship between every human being is now mapped or represented as an NFT. Now, if this was like fully decentralized data, where only the people that are involved in those relationships have equal footing access to that, then we're in good shape. But it gets me a little bit nervous down the road as if like all of this data that previously wasn't mapped is now mapped. What will that look like? But again, that would actually be a good episode of Black Mirror. I wonder if they should do that. You ever see that show?
Yeah,
No, no, I haven't seen that show.
I've seen it. Yeah, I think yeah, if there's a Black Mirror episode powered by Siri, then I'll be very happy.
Yeah, that would be really cool to see. Actually, you guys should work with them on that because they probably would do well to do like an NFT style crypto episode talking about. So for those who don't see the show, is about like if we have the technology that we have today, but there's like some warped future where the technology that we have, a specific technology that we have today, uh, is controlling our human society. What will that world look like? For example, if we all had in the ability in our eyes cameras, and so they're watching real time, all the time, what's going on with your eye to see, and you can go back at home at night and rewatch everything. How will that change humanity? Because now we can go back and second guess and have regrets, and we can go and try to like read into things, and it would just completely change everything. I wonder, like, we look at relationship mapping. Actually, I'm going to title this episode "Relationship Mapping" because it's a great way to describe what NFTs are. If someone said, "Charlie, explain NFTs to me in this elevator," relationship mapping, done. It's the perfect way.
Yeah, totally. Imagine in a world where, instead of, on Facebook, Twitter, where they make all the money from your data, and you can, as even a normal, everyday person walking on the street, um, and you could essentially, decide if you want to share your data with some brands, let's say, whatever Gucci or Adidas, some of the brands that you really have in a affiliation or some kind of affection with, and then you can opt in to give your data to them, and you get paid for that, and so when you walk around, you have this metaverse, and then you'll see Adidas and the Gucci related ads in the metaverse. Things like that. And that's essentially where things are heading, that you can monetize your own consumer data without having a middleman like Google or Facebook or somebody else that comes in and make money from you.
So if these And someone would come to me and say, well, Charlie, like Google and Facebook and such, they're not going to go away. They're not going to just disappear. And your response would be like, well, we can rebuild the technology, but these companies may still exist to like service us. So like the NFT world can be built on a Web3 standard. You're seeing like a Cere Network and the decentralized data cloud. But these companies like Google and Facebook, they could provide like add-on complementary services to us, maybe make it easier to use. So we could definitely still get to like a better decentralized internet that's more equal for everyone. But at the same time, those big tech companies still are making money, but they're making money doing different type of services for us.
Yeah, with what we're seeing right now with just look at the record earnings by Google, right?
Yeah.
They're not going away anytime soon. But I think it's the Web3 is I think making more and more of a sort of maturity towards being able to power a slightly different future, right? Where everything goes from, currently what we know is like these, advertising based and third party sort of approach that that dominates how a consumer or person interacts with either a brand or with content or the creator, to more of sort of direct first party and loyalty, and focus on the really like the essence of that relationship, right, between either the brand or the user. And that data can be brought into each type of these interactions, right? That's permission by your signing in your wallet, right? So that is what we can all be very, very excited about.
Well, what can we be excited about now? Like what do you have a huge roadmap, a huge future? What does it look like? But what can my listeners do now? How can they interact with Siri, with DaVinci?
Well, I think there's a lot that we're actually doing. So DaVinci, is something that we're using to really drive, right, the our tool sets and also our data cloud. And it's just the beginning, right? We're doing, there's a bunch of that partnership that's going on. Our ecosystem team is actually driving to bring that same technology to number of other NFT players and gaming companies. And I think that's there's a lot to be excited about. I think the key thing for the listener there too, one is look at what we're doing with Cere Network, look at the vision behind it, and look at this as a protocol, how this will reshape the future, that's solving the huge void in Web3. And secondly, I think what we're doing with like folks like Live One, bring a lot of big artists using, to onto a platform like DaVinci or white label version of it. This is actually going to drive some very, very cool experiences, right? Like the things we're doing with, just boxing, with art, with some of the sports events coming up, and also music concerts. These will be very, very exciting. And Kenzi, you want to add on top of that?
Yeah, we're having hundreds of conversation now. Actually, over 100 conversations now with NFT companies, whether it's a marketplace or NFT project, and we're doing partnerships and integrations with them, and they're using the Siri decentralized data cloud to host content, to do an interoperability side of things. So I think one avenue that Fred said is really cool is we'd love the audience to refer NFT projects and startups for us to work with, and we'll also open up a bounty program soon. Essentially, we'll have Siri advocates or ambassadors, and they will serve as external BD partners for us. So then, instead of just I'm driving the ecosystem team, with Siri, but with ambassadors, we feel like that's going to give us an additional influx of projects to work with. But
Yeah. Well, I'm on here. I'm on here now. Is it going to be on Polygon? Will it be on the Siri mainnet?
It's
Well, Siri,
multi-chain. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
multi-chain.
yeah. So I think Siri, Siri DDC or Decentralized Data Cloud, it's designed to actually work with any EVM compatible blockchain. So whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Polygon, I think, Polkadot, Substrate, type of blockchains, and even Solana. I think they're all, becoming fully EVM compatible, right? If not 100% already. So our smart contract are deployed into these blockchains that work directly with Cere mainnet, so that there's atomic transaction. Anytime someone acquires a piece of NFT, we're actually unlocking content for them, right? And then also data that's actually stored on the decentralized data cloud work with it, the wallet addresses and users on these blockchains.
You've created a whole perfect suite of tools here, and this is great. I want to launch something here. We talked before the show about a new like scripted podcast series that I'm writing. I don't want to say the name yet. I don't want to give my idea away to anyone, but that would launch with some sort of world where there's an interaction between the listeners and the world. This seems like it's the perfect plug solution, but at the same time, you have like film studios that own movies like Snow White that are just running on, like Disney running all the time. That's making them a certain amount of money, but this could be like an add-on complementary thing where they could issue different artistic aspects of a film or something like that.
Yeah, Charlie, we'd love to work with you.
That's
This
so
is
cool.
you've been a early advocate for Siri. We really appreciate your support. So yeah, whatever you need help with on that front, we could certainly work with you, powered by Siri Tech. The new thing that you mentioned that you're working on is extremely exciting, and
Yeah.
we can essentially help make it very unique and customize a user journey for all of your audience. And there's a lot of cool things that can come out of it.
This is really amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on Untold Stories. And we're gonna finish up the show here and then talk about how we're gonna launch that. But thanks for the listeners for listening, and thank you guys for coming on. I'm really excited I feel like finally I don't have to do as many NFT related episodes because we're closing up the loose ends here and really understanding where this like specific subset of our industry is going now. So thank you guys for helping us get there.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
Charlie.
Totally.
Yeah, we're excited. We're very, very excited about what Future has for us.